Hello, my name is Anastasia, and today I will talk to you about community service and voluntary work. Social medias have shaped us the way they think. What I'm trying to say by this is that individuals follow social medias rather than go out into the world and really experience real life. A very recent example of this is Pokemon Go, where young people in groups started to get out of their homes and walk around looking for Pokemons. But how many times have we actually seen young people get out and do something good for our community, pick up rubbish, for example? Community service is a non-paid activity that is performed by individuals or a group for a benefit of the public and institutions. It basically is voluntary work in different sectors. Community service is usually performed as part of a citizen requirement, military, for example, as a substitution of criminal justice, picking up rubbish, for example, mandated by schools, the IB program, which I will talk about soon, or just as a receipt of certain benefits. At my high school, in order to finish my IB program, the International Baccalaureate, we had to complete 150 hours of CAS, community service, which had to do with I think it was 50, 50, and 50, 50 hours of creativity, 50 hours of action, and 50 hours of service in those 2 years. So I volunteered at the embassy. We joined Cans for Kids, which was we were collecting cans, all the cans in an area, and then we would take this to a special machine. It was a special institution. They would crush all the cans, put them all into cubes, and those cubes were then sent off to factories where they were processed further. What else I did? We tried to get our school lunch, instead of thrown out what we hadn't eaten for the day, that would go to homeless. That obviously didn't work because it had already been reheated a second time, so the government didn't allow the third time, but we tried, and that was all voluntary work, and all that counted into creativity, action, service. We kind of split the hours up. There are thousands of more examples how young people can start and help the environment around, engage social responsibility, and work towards the brighter future, because it's our world we're destroying, it's our world we're trying to build up, and it's going to make a big difference if people actually start doing community service and start volunteering. It keeps people in groups, it makes people interact, it helps for the greater good. So I made a little chart here, why community service is so important. It makes a difference, it makes you learn new skills, it saves resources, it strengthens communities, it encourages civic responsibility, and I'm all going to talk about that right in a second. So there are many reasons why people decide to do voluntary work and why it is important. Each individual is different, so we all decide to do what is best for us. One of the most obvious reasons is because you make a difference. Each individual makes a difference. Community and service and volunteerism is an important investment in the community and the people who live in it. Therefore, it encourages civic responsibility. You can change, you can get the chance to give back, maybe support community resources, will benefit the people that you care about or the people living in that environment, in that community, for example. Voluntary works help communication and interaction with other people, meaning that a lot can be learned for yourself, for government functions, for the community, for the environment, for nature, for a lot of things. There's a lot of skills that can come out of it. It also strengthens the community we live in, since support to families in form of daycare, for example, or we improve school systems through tutoring or mentoring. We support the youth, we beautify the environment we live in, and those who volunteer really promote this personal growth and this self-esteem, and they really also try to promote this as a new fashion, I would call it, but it has grown in the last couple years, how people really help with voluntary work and try to help the people around them. For example, all these charity groups or all these voluntary work groups that go down to Africa and help the kids And there's a lot of more going on than, for example, 10 years ago, because we're becoming more and more informed about what is really going on around us. So I believe that it is important to explain to children from a young age that volunteering and being a good social citizen is essential for a better future and for the greater good, of course. Voluntary work and community service is not really promoted amongst youngsters before. Now it has lately. And it was a shame, because there was actually a lot of good things that young groups can spend their time with instead of instead of drinking, for example. If I ask my friends, what are you doing today? Oh, let's go drink. But why don't we can drink a beer, but we can go get some rubbish from the streets and put them in bags and take them to the rubbish bin. We don't actually need to just go drink and have fun and talk about God knows who, yeah? So there's a lot of things that can be done. So everybody who volunteers has a special reason of their own why they're doing this, of course. When you do voluntary work, as long as you feel that you are accomplishing what your goals is and your efforts are put into appreciation, you do make a difference, and it keeps you going, it keeps you motivated. Many nations have different ways to promote community service. Sweden has different ways, America has different ways, Germany has different ways, every country has different ways. And like I mentioned, there are several reasons why people do this community service, either because of their own social responsibilities or for criminal justice experiences, self-esteem, who knows what. And each one of us has their own way to show appreciation to the environment we live in. And the voluntary work should become more spread amongst the globe, I believe, because we do need to stick together. We do need to build a sustainable future for us and for the further future generations to come, I believe.